Well, kia ora, tēnā koutou katoa. It's Rachel Froggatt here, Secretary General of the International Working Group on Women in Sport and in New Zealand, Chief Executive at Women in Sport Aotearoa, and welcome to our most recent Insight Bites in partnership with the Tasman Business Circle SportsConnect team. We have a fantastic guest today, someone that I've admired at a distance for quite some time and actually just met over video about 3 minutes ago when we tuned in for the first time. So quite excited to welcome today Jody Cameron. Jody, obviously, most of you will know as a former athlete, Tall Fern, and has made the successful transition to assistant coach with the Tall Ferns, and of course is working with North Harbour Basketball as well. Jody, welcome.
Kia ora, Rachel. Thank you for having me.
You know, there's so many things about what you're doing at the moment in your professional life that it's just so exciting to watch and to see you breaking new ground. And you know, I mentioned you have made that jump from athlete to coach, which is exciting in itself. So perhaps for those less aware, you know, of your background and how you've got to where you are, maybe give us a bit of a 30-second who am I?
Look, I come from a very basketball-orientated family, and so, you know, when I was an athlete, I wanted to go to Olympics, tick that one off, and then I decided to raise my children. Then I saw the women's game not getting supported enough, and I gave back a little bit, and then it sort of led on to bigger leadership roles and coaching roles, and then eventually an offer to come and work in as the Women's Development Officer in North Harbour. So it went really quickly, Rachel. I didn't plan to do this. I really fell into coaching, and I'm really happy that I'm in this situation at the moment, in this position.
And it's a very interesting place to be right now, obviously, in I was going to say post-COVID world, but I don't think we'll ever really get a chance to say post-COVID the way things are going. So can you tell us, you know, what the last sort of 12, 14 weeks has been like for you and your team?
I think we were like week 6 back in that post-COVID. So, you know, bubble was fantastic. We met regularly over Zoom, like I think everybody else in the world, and then adapted quickly into that kind of format of in the workplace, and gave us just an opportunity to, you know, really get on top of things. I mean, I suppose when you go day-to-day thing, you don't get time, or you don't make time to carve out some of the new stuff you want to do, or you've got all these ideas. So, you know, it was a real positive effect for us, I suppose, in the workplace, and then also personally. I had an amazing time in the bubble. Post-COVID, you know, been really lucky here in New Zealand to get all our leagues back and going. We're going into the junior rep stuff coming up in August. So it's been a pretty good ride considering the rest of the world. We're in a really fortunate situation. So yeah, things haven't been too difficult in getting things back on track, and very well supported by our community.
And I think, you know, basketball, I think, has been doing a very good job advocating for its athletes and its teams from elite right through to grassroots. And, you know, the government has announced a $265 million recovery package for sport. And just recently, you know, Basketball New Zealand has received a significant amount of money to bring the men's and women's leagues back. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it hasn't been officially announced, the actual league. And, you know, it's just been, you know, it's very humbling and grateful that we got this grant from the government to really boost our league. So for the women, that's a huge injection, and I'm hoping that we have a great platform to, you know, showcase coming up into that. I'm not sure which month they've put in. It's either November, December. And, you know, everyone's trying to fit everything into the amount of calendar left in the year. But I'm really excited about what's on offer. Can't say too much yet because I don't have all of the details, and I don't know, you know, it hasn't been finalised. But I'm just really happy that these athletes have got an opportunity to get back on the floor again, and under the support from the government, it's been a real relief for us, and exciting to, you know, present maybe in a better way that we haven't been able to produce before. So looking forward to those times down the road where we can actually put our best foot forward, I think, in the women's place. So yeah, it's really exciting times.
And I think what was really significant for me when the announcement was made about the funding was the ring fence nature of the funding for the Women's League. You know, it was very clear, the message from government was that this needs to get up. This is really critically important to New Zealand at all levels of our community. And I think that must have been a huge boost of confidence and support for you and the program that's running nationally as well.
Oh, absolutely. You know, like it's just a bit, I was cheering, like, finally, you know, that just getting that confirmation that we can continue on the path we had set out previously, with or without the funding. You know, the ideas and the goals that for the people on the ground and all the way up to the top. You know, we're aspiring for big and better things for our athletes. So getting that you know, the confidence, like you say, and that confirmation that we can go forward with those things is huge, and not only in our sport but for New Zealand. And I think about all the athletes, all the girls that I am engaged with, you know, just how much support that they've got from the top. So now I think it's really important.
And I think basketball, as I understand it, is one of the fastest growing sports in the country now, and certainly on the women's side of things. And interestingly, attracts a really diverse participant base, from what I understand, lots of different people from lots of different backgrounds. So that must be quite exciting.
Yeah, I think it's a sport, you know, especially in our country. Everyone plays, it doesn't matter. We're Kiwis at heart, in the sense that we play 5 or 6 different sports, and then we pick a little bit later on, and we're that talented. Basketball is played by everyone, you know. It's quite funny who you see playing basketball. You wouldn't think that they would, but everyone loves the game. And I think we're in a space where it's just going to get bigger and better, and hopefully, you know, all together that we can make this thing just in a great positive environment for all those involved, especially the females. There's so many females wanting to play. I just, you know, in my area alone, I just can't. There's not enough space. We don't have enough courts, Rachel, and enough coaches yet. So it's growing that fast that I feel like we're behind the 8 ball in resources, in the sense of we need more, you know, staff, coaches, people on the ground. So, you know, that's a whole nother area for me to bite into after I finish this year off.
And how can people help you with that? You know, in the sense of, if you were to do one big call out to the community and say, you know what, this could explode into something amazing if we had the resource, the support, etc. You know, what would you be looking for?
I think probably about a few things. I'd say, just, you know, in your own patch, know your role. Like if you're a mum or a dad or a school teacher, I'm supporting our kids. You know, I'm representing basketball, and it's across every sport. You know, I'm never going to be just talking about my sport in that sense, but I think knowing your role. And that's a real common term in sport, know your role, and everyone has a role to play. We can be a lot more positive around our kids and our athletes and those aspiring at the top, and supporting them on those levels. As a parent, you know, talking to your council about, obviously our sport's growing, we don't have enough courts. So, you know, asking the question, how can I, you know, question the council, or go through that process to, you know, look into some more sporting arenas. There's so many kids that are, you know, not getting the areas that they need, in the sense of a court just to go and play. I mean, we've got a lot of outdoor courts in basketball happening, and that's been fantastic. And that's created a lot of area for our 3-on-3 space, and it's been awesome to, you know, driving past wherever I am, I see people now playing basketball of all levels. And then the other one is probably getting around those sporting community, you know, the basketball communities, and asking if they need a hand anywhere. It's not just one thing, I suppose. You know, and it all matters. You know, the government obviously has put their hand up and supported from the top. And I think as a community, and knowing your role where you are, you know, building your patch, growing your patch of grass wherever it is, whatever that may be.
That's excellent. And you mentioned a little bit earlier about, you know, the need for coaches. And I think one of the encouraging things we've seen in recent years has been a real focus on developing coaches in New Zealand through High Performance Sport New Zealand, the Coach Accelerator program, which you yourself have been on recently. And then obviously more recently, there's been even more announcements around investment into women and into female coaching development. Can you talk us through your journey in terms of how the courses like that and support like that have benefited you, develop your coaching style and your own professional development?
Yeah, I think being accepted into the CAP program has really had a huge impact on female basketball. I heard a quote the other day. Casey Frank said me, if you can't see it, you can't be it. And I think, there's been a whole, just that having me in that position for females to see that, you can aspire and get to the top, especially now, basketball is a minority sport in New Zealand. And it also is credible to those that have forged the way in before me, that they can see somebody getting to the top. And that's a great place to be in, and also, a responsible one, but it's been a really positive impact. And, in terms of leadership and that, it's allowed me to look at all lenses, open my mind up to all different kinds of lenses, which grows your knowledge, and you're enabled to help those in all different levels, or give the right feedback that's needed in whatever capacity that I'm working in at that time. In the sense of my coaching style, it's probably been a little bit more refined. I've learned to be more prepared, and that was really helpful, I suppose, in coaching, is that, learning from one of my mentors is the more prepared you are, the more you can give to that athlete, to that team, and the privilege of sitting in that position of a coach, then you kind of you're obligated, and that's your duty, to be more prepared. And so, as a coach, I always used to look at a coach and just think they rocked up and, they just sort of done their thing. But it's actually really a complicated job title, and you're wearing many hats at different times. So it's been amazing for my development in my coaching style, and then just personal development. As you say, it's I've really learned to understand and get to know who I am better. I think that's been probably the biggest impact, is the better you get to understand yourself, the better you are at, it enables me to coach those athletes a bit better. I think you go out there less scatty, and you're more equipped. You're a better person in general. Just those all-round factors. You have better daily habits. You can do a lot more in a short amount of time. And the coaching world demands a lot of you. So the CAP program's probably been the best program I've ever been a part of, and I hope that continues.
Well, I told you this chat would go fast. We're nearly at the end, and I have time for one last question. So obviously New Zealand is in a very unique position for those of you watching from international places, in that we are currently what we call level 1, which is COVID is managed and there's no community transmission, which means we have live sport back, we have live audiences back, and to all intents and purposes, New Zealand is back to normal. So in that case, barring nothing going wrong, what can we expect, from particularly the Tall Ferns, over the next sort of 6 months? What should we be looking forward to?
Well, I can't speak for 6 months. I think COVID's really ruling that, but we do have that showcase event coming up on the 1st of August, just before the NBL final, men's NBL final, and we're going into camp a week before that. So, I'm expecting to be a part of a really amazing product for people to view, showcasing the athletes that we have. They even amaze me from when I was playing. These young athletes coming through in basketball are I'm in awe, silently in awe. You can't sort of stand back and be a fan when you're coaching them, but on reflection, they do a tremendous job at producing some great play. And so I hope that we can showcase the talent there in that game. We're building our program in the behind scenes. We haven't let COVID really stop us from what we want to do and how we want to act professionally. So, the girls have been working hard in the background. In 6 months, I hope we're touring again. I hope the world's back on track, but in the meantime, we've got this showcase game coming up in August. And from there, that we hope to, just deliver a great spectacle for everyone, and know that in the background that our athletes are working very hard, and the talent pool has grown. So there's a lot more athletes wanting to get into the circle and be a Tall Fern.
Oh, kia ora, Jody. Thank you for your mahi. Your work is just amazing, and we watch you with awe, not silently. We'll cheer you very loudly from the sidelines because you're doing amazing work. We've been speaking to Jody Cameron, North Harbour Basketball and assistant coach for the Tall Ferns women's basketball team here in New Zealand. And a special shout out to Sinead Kiriau, who designed and researched carefully this week's questions so that we could have this fantastic chat with Jody today. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Rachel. Appreciate it.